The half quarter, turning cash for charity.
It was a game of the ages. A whole bunch of has-beens playing a basketball game against people with zero sporting ability. Thank goodness for the Breakers athletes who gave the game some much-needed talent and professionalism. Yes, we're talking about the All-Star Celeb Slam basketball game, which was awesome to be a part of and to raise money for the Starship Children's Hospital. Joining me to celebrate the amount that was raised for the Starship is Breakers CEO Matt Walsh. So what is the final total?
Yeah, so the total ended up being $656,700, which we're so thankful. Obviously, Manuka Doctor played a huge role in that, and Sky Sport. It allows to build one full ICU unit, complete fit out, and then basically get about 2/3 of the way to another one. And what they'll do with the money, we're unsure, but you know, 656 is a great number. With a little bit more time and planning and hopefully a little bit less COVID, next year we'll aim for $1 million.
Let's go, Breakers, let's go!
Matt Walsh, the boss man, extremely passionate owner and leader of the organisation.
Awesome.
I think he's done a heck of a job since he's been here, and it's just getting better and better.
That's his second round.
He's a former player, you know, he's still got that fire within him, and it's almost like you watch him on the sideline and you can feel how frustrated he is that he's not able to play anymore. I think as players you love to see that. You love to see an owner who's so invested in the success of the team.
I think everyone's grateful and thankful for Matt, because the Breakers could possibly not exist if he didn't buy them.
It makes you want to play that extra bit harder to try and get the job done for an owner who believes in you that much. Breakers, my family, my home away from my other home, place and organisation that I love dearly and have been part of for a very long time. Yeah, very proud to be one.
Okay, put your lazy boys back, fasten your seatbelt, and get ready for the initial game, the first ever game for the New Zealand Breakers.
I remember going to the very first ever Breakers game as a young kid. It was the first time a basketball organisation from New Zealand had played in the Australian League. So there was a lot of excitement around it. It was coming off the back of the Tall Blacks doing really well at the World Cup in 2002. And a lot of those players were now suiting up for the Breakers.
The game is over. A 1-point win to the Breakers, and historic. The first win for the Breakers, Bob.
People were pumped. And after that, kind of things just fizzled down. The team didn't have a lot of success for a long time. They were realising just how competitive and what a step up it was, not only to play in an Australian competition, but to be, you know, a New Zealand team playing in that and all the challenges that came with it.
And then I think they started to, you know, recruit new coaches and new players and stuff that they thought they could win with.
From Townsville to Waitakere, from Andre Hu to Andre Lemanis, new Breakers coach.
I'm absolutely one who believes in it is hard work that needs to be done in order to become a good basketball player.
When we started, you know, playing out at Trust Stadium there in Waitakere, that we used to be able to introduce the crowd to the team, you know, and then there's Johnny, he's actually having some shots on court number 5, but can you come in, mate, and watch the game? So, you know, that's where sort of the base that we started from.
I think the biggest thing that Andre brought into the team at that time was a buy into a culture where all the players really believed in a goal to be successful and win a championship.
I think the seeds of the family values that permeate throughout the Breakers organisation well and truly sit with Paul and Liz Blackwell's ownership.
To Paul and Liz Blackwell, who got me on board. He got me on board 6 years ago, and we had a vision, and we built this thing, and so proud of what we've been able to achieve together, so thank you, well done.
Without them, the Breakers wouldn't be what they are today. You know, they created values, they created an accountability, they created a family, you know, and with those 3 things we were able to come through and enjoy the way that we played.
So the rivalry between Perth and New Zealand, certainly during my time, was pretty special. It made the whole thing a wonderful experience. Like, you know, you need rivals, you need that team that, you know, you want to beat.
NBL champions 3 times in a row, the New Zealand Breakers.
CJ Bruno, you are a legend.
I think once you do get 2 and 3, it's ultimately stamps where your organisation is and what you are, not only in your own country but in the league.
Andre Lemanis has fronted for the Breakers for the last time. The coach who led the club to 3 consecutive NBL basketball titles is taking over the Australian national team until the end of the 2016 Olympics.
I'm a member of the family, and you never leave the family.
Player development a hugely significant part of Lemanis' legacy. He's seen the likes of Tom Abercrombie come up through the Breakers system.
Dean Vickerman, his assistant at the time, came in to replace him. Yeah, we thought things could just tick over and be as they were. We finished second to bottom, I think, but bounced back and won a championship.
Out there for the Breakers, Vakona, Ibekwe, Webster and Abercrombie with Jackson Falk. Mitch Young will pick him up. What can they get? Can they get a clean look? Ibekwe for the win! Pandemonium! Absolute scenes!
The way the Breakers were before, how it was so family orientated, is not common in sports. And the way the Blackwells ran the club, I don't think that's common. I haven't heard about that anywhere else. The Blackwells were going to step away from it regardless, so that brought on change, I think, just organically.
Matt does keep a lot hidden away. He genuinely has a big heart and wants to help this new community that he's come into. You know, he knows that he's come from America, and that often comes with a bit of a stigma in New Zealand.
700,000 raised in for a charity event just shows the testament of where the club is. The community's still behind them. As an ex-player, it's great to see that.
Mismatch, switch.
Tom Abercrombie is a great man. We went to school together.
Money, 1, 2, seal those.
Westlake, and played together with him since before high school, probably intermediate, maybe primary school.
Me and Corey have played together for a long time, but we've never really hung out together off the court. I guess we're great colleagues in the sense that we've had a great working relationship for a very long time. We understand each other very well.
Went to school with Rob Lowe, played with him in Westlake as well.
Me and Rob have always been pretty close. Roomed together for a long time in the national team and for the Breakers, and obviously he was a lot younger than me at Westlake as well. I think he was a very, very gangly third former when I was finishing up. But yeah, someone who's, again, been around for a really long time and been through a lot of experiences with him.
Yeah, Tom Abercrombie is probably the best teammate I've had, ever.
Corey, me, Tom, Rob. Corey, me, Tom, Rob. That's it, right? 4 Westlakers. Ty Webster is my protege. Nah. Amazing brother to have. Corey Webster is the one who showed me how to play basketball. You can look at Corey's performances in the World Cup, you know. He doesn't get the shine that he deserves behind Kirk Penny, you know. If not Kirk Penny, the best shooting guard to ever come out of New Zealand, you know. Not just my opinion, you know.
We kind of know each other a bit more than, say, a normal professional team would. So yeah, I guess you could say we're a family within a family.
I've known Chanel since before I can remember. Maybe my earliest memories of hanging out around Chanel and the Pompeliers are probably 4 or 5 years old.
I sort of grew up with Corey and Ty. Ty was a little bit younger than Corey, so I was around Corey more than Ty. I used to babysit him actually years ago when we were little kids.
Vince, I guess he's the odd one out in a sense because, yeah, one, he's come from Nelson, grew up playing his basketball down there, but he's a late bloomer. The Breakers kind of plucked him out of Otago University as a development player, and he was always someone, a young player with great potential and tools, but could never quite crack it. It never quite clicked for him.
I always wanted to be a pro basketball player, but honestly, I probably didn't believe I was going to be one until I was one. Coming from Nelson College, I kind of always had that chip on my shoulder that, I had to break through to get to the next level. I always had to break through into New Zealand teams. I didn't even get trials when I was younger.
Finn Delaney's my favorite.
Finn Delaney, workhorse, worker, hard hat, toolbox. The list goes on.
Let's go.
Breakers, 1, 2, 3.
Breakers.
And so there's a continuity there that a lot of other teams haven't had, and it's always been a real strength of ours, is that Kiwi core and that buy into a Kiwi culture and us against them mentality. The Kiwis are going up against Australia and things like that.
A 1-4 low post mismatch. Not likely that we're going to have a whole lot of those most of the time, but prepare, and definitely something we want to use offensively with the right spacing and passes and reads.
Dan Shamir has done more to professionalize and help us go from here to here as an organization than anyone. He came from Israel. He's coached on EuroLeague championship teams. He's coached with the top coaches in Europe.
So he's going under and you're going here, and now point guard comes back to the top, okay?
We want to be like the 31st NBA team. We want to be one of the most professional teams in the world.
We're playing zone against the zone stuff that we're doing against men. It's very similar stuff, but I want you to see it, not to neglect it, because all of a sudden you prepare the whole preseason, etc., and then you come in Brisbane, go 30 minutes of 2-3 zone, stuff like that.
Dan Shamir. Dan Shamir is the mastermind.
Dan's depth of knowledge, is second to none that I've been around. Very serious about the game, loves it. And that's some of the things you really want as a coach.
Twist, 4 twist. Yeah.
Good.
His personality, I think it's a little bit more. What's the word?
Into it. Bravo. Over.
He's that European kind of mentality a little bit. Like, they're just a bit different than Kiwis. We're a little bit more easygoing and laid back, and he's quite, I think because he's really, I don't know. It's hard. I don't really know his personality great, because it's more of a basketball relationship.
Where you going?
We were on a very extended off-season. Everybody was at home with a lot of uncertainty on when the season will start, when we'll be able to get our players. We remember that we came off a very good end of the season, or half of the season, and we had most of our locals coming back, and we added again a very, an MVP or all-time NBL caliber player in Lamar Patterson.
Enjoying the Lamar Patterson show.
Lamar was a dream for us as a player. Smart, accomplished, knows the league, proven, great for our system. We thought we combined it with a great pick and roll big guy who is also experienced, tough in Colton Iverson. For us, again, we thought the combination between Lamar and Colton will be huge, would be amazing. That they will make everybody else better, will be an unstoppable combination, and we thought that we had experienced, smart, tough team.
I have known Tom Abercrombie since 2016 when we played together in Karsieka, and we had talked about New Zealand and how lovely it was, and my wife became friends with his wife. We heard the lifestyle for the family couldn't be better. No better place to raise a child than New Zealand. We were very excited to have my son come here.
COVID obviously happened, and there was all sorts of conversations going on in the background before last season about pay and things, and one of the things that came up pretty quickly was that players are going to have to take a pay cut, and that was sort of a non-negotiable thing that had come from the league to the Players Association and fed through to us that, you guys have to take a pay cut if you want this league to exist and carry on.
That was pretty rough. It was a huge change.
Jacob Holmes and the Players Association, swung our arms to take a pay cut really early on and try and impress upon us that what we were doing was actually a pretty good deal compared to a lot of other sporting organisations, professional sports leagues. And so it came to be that we had this tiered pay cut system for the entire year. Depending on what you're paid, some guys 50% for the highest earners, getting down to I think 20% or something for those minimum salary guys.
New Zealand dealt with COVID very different to other countries in the world. Obviously, geographically, we're an island kind of shut off. So, we shut our borders, I guess, and I guess went through the route of trying to eliminate the virus and succeeded. It's a bit ironic that because of that, we then had to go and live in Australia for a whole season, and it felt very uncertain.
Someone has to bite the bullet, and in this case it was us.
Our entire staff have been working basically around the clock since we found out we were going to Melbourne to do everything in our power to make the stay as enjoyable and professional as possible. We want to put you guys in the position where the only thing you have to worry about is playing games and enjoying life in Melbourne as best you can. I gave you guys all my word, for those who took salary cuts this year, to work our ass off here to make up that revenue to make you whole. We are doing our absolute best to do everything we can for you guys, okay? I think we all understand it's not going to be perfect. Having to pack up and move at least until March 15th. There's going to be issues, but we're in this together. So we'll go off to Australia and start kicking some ass.
So we were told to basically pack our bags, and we would be in Australia until about mid-March. With the opportunity to come back to New Zealand and play our home games then. So, we were, a little shook that it had to come to that. We obviously wanted to play in front of our fans, especially after the celebrity game that we had.
Spark Arena, that's the home ground, the home turf. You can't really, or just the little intricacies of just being at home in your own bed, sleeping, those things you take for granted you don't think are very important, sleeping in your bed before a game, but like to be in your own routine, drive the way you drive and stuff like that, little stuff like that, put your brain in a routine before you get to the game.
So normally immigration is a bit of a difficult process. And then you throw COVID-19 in the mix, and then it just kind of turned into what it turned into.
I was very optimistic that my wife and newborn son would be allowed to Australia.
We tried 4 times to get his family into Australia. And it was declined each and every time.
He was born August 5th, and then I had the next 3 months together, and then on December 1st I reported to Sydney to begin my quarantine. To sit in quarantine for 14 days is a surreal experience. It really hit me when the security guard didn't give me the key to my hotel room and the door slammed behind me. That's when I realized that this is going to be a long 14 days.
Obviously, in Australia, they have restrictions on the number of flights daily. Rasmus flew from Denmark to Japan, and then Japan to Melbourne. He arrived only days before our first pre-season game. And Lamar, similar, he was playing in Puerto Rico, and then he needed to fly back to Philadelphia for less than 24 hours, and then fly to Melbourne to serve his quarantine.
For me, when I look at the footage of everyone in my house enjoying themselves, being around each other, laughing, smiling, it's painful to watch because we really, as an organization, had such a sense of optimism.
Unlike most Kiwi teams that leave to be based in Australia, the Breakers can take family with them.
It's obviously a bit of a worry in the lead up to things, what we'll do in that area, but To have them on the plane with me as we go over, it's a big weight off the shoulders.
Tom Abercrombie is taking his wife and 3 kids over to their base in Melbourne, a decision he made after hearing from Warriors captain Roger Tuivasa-Sheck about how difficult it was playing an entire season away from family.
That was the biggest one he sort of shared with me, is being away from them, how tough that was. So I'm very thankful. I don't take it for granted how lucky I am that my family's able to come over with me.
I was obviously missing Christmas and things like that in New Zealand, and just friends, hanging out. It's New Zealand, it's summer, everyone's at beaches and enjoying barbecues with friends and family. Those are the moments that I definitely missed overseas.
To be honest, I was prepared to be there the whole season. I was kind of went out saying, when we left, I told myself I was prepared to be there for as long as I had to be.
My son was born right before I left, my first son, so I left after 5 days, so missing the first 6 months of his life was pretty tough.
I was going to miss both of my kids' birthdays, my oldest boy starting school, Christmas, the birth of Ty's, the birth of my nephew. I was going to miss the birth of my child. I had my first son was born February 9th, right in the middle of the season.
I've been involved with the Breakers, more than 18 years of my life. I met my wife at the Breakers, and when there was the opportunity to, go to Australia, there was a bit of a hurdle in that my wife was 4 months pregnant. So we knew, both my wife and I, we discussed at length, what it meant for me to go with the team, and what the challenges would be of leaving her back in New Zealand with obviously a 18-month-old child, and also being 4 months pregnant.
I'm in a different situation than other people. I went through these 6 months with my family. So what I missed was the routine that you have with a 3-month-old baby when you're at home, and what I gained is all the experiences you get with living with a baby on the road. Getting into Melbourne was a little bit of a shock. It was the first, we were living a sheltered existence in New Zealand with COVID. Being in Melbourne was the first time you really felt there was a plague going on in the world. Shops were closed up, people were masked up and keeping distance. It felt like we got into a place that was severely hit by COVID.
We had also all the NBL regulations that we took very seriously. That meant we couldn't be out of our hotel for more than an hour most of the days and stuff like that. So it was different.
I mean, I love Melbourne. Melbourne's one of those cities that are electric, and the fact that it was in COVID and it was locked down, it was a little bit different. Being in the bubble with the team made it a little bit easier, and yeah, we just went along day by day, but it was definitely very different.
So Corey, what happened? I was cutting an avocado, and a knife slipped and went through my hand.
And yeah, you just grab a...
When I found out about Corey and the avocado, I think I was getting a massage. I just seen Emily grab her phone and she said something like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Is everything okay?" And she said something to someone, I think to Jono, physio, that something about Corey. And I was like, "Well, what's wrong with Corey?" You know, and instantly I'm like thinking like the worst. I'm thinking, this guy's dead, you know. Corey died, but nah.
Got some filling back in my fingers, a little bit.
Gonna get some good guacamole, avocado salad.
A ball guard does everything about feel with the ball and touch. Sticking a knife through his hand, gotta be serious, and probably one of the best things is just to lighten it up a little bit.
Everyone's first reaction in the team was just to look at their hand and have a fake knife in their hand and try and figure out how he's actually managed to stab himself with the knife. And then obviously everyone's learnt that he's gone down on the avocado, which is just a very interesting technique and not one that I recommend for everyone at home.
It's just been for 3 weeks.
How was the hand, and 2, how exactly did it happen? Because I'm hearing a lot of different stories.
Yeah, apparently I played one-on-one with an avocado. Just in shock, and then I was just sweating like I was in a game. Sweating everywhere, blood everywhere. But it actually didn't hurt though, because I severed the nerve, so I couldn't really feel it.
So explain to me, talking about sweating like you're in a game. Paul, your coach? and you gotta call Matt. What was that like?
Yeah, I didn't call them.
We know this season's going to be a tough start for us. And now our best local, or one of our best locals who we're anticipating being a 15, 20-point guy, is looking at being, at that time, we didn't know how long he was going to be out. It felt like, come on, can we catch a break?
The New Zealand Breakers have been handed a double blow 2 weeks out from the start of their season. Star guard Corey Webster has had to have surgery on his hand and is likely to miss the opening 2 games of the year. Adding insult to injury, the team has been forced to relocate to Tasmania after the NBL decided to move them out of their base in Victoria due to a spike in coronavirus cases.
Jared Weeks was a crowd favourite at the Hobart Netball and Sports Centre 5 years ago. Weeks and his teammates arrived in Hobart last Friday. After being based in Victoria since mid-December, they're here after making a swift exit from Melbourne due to concerns around the city's rising COVID cases.
We're just trying to focus on the basketball. Obviously, we've had an interrupted pre-season and a short pre-season, so trying to get in as many sessions as we can and looking forward to round 1.
But just when that is remains a mystery. The NBL's original fixture had them scheduled to play Melbourne United next Friday night, January 15.
Besides rumours, and I'm not interested in a lot of rumours, we don't have a lot of valid information. Moving to Hobart was the first probably hit we took. I just remember the practice. I don't think anybody will forget the practice where we just finished practice. It was Friday afternoon in our training facility in Melbourne, and Simon came and said, "Go and pack. We're getting out of here tomorrow first thing in the morning." And everything we thought about getting situated and having a home in Melbourne and getting used to the environment, that is gone. And we had Tom with his family, 3 kids, and his wife over there. And I remember they had to pack for 6 hours during the night. And it was the first time that we knew that's going to be like a moving circus. I mean, right now we don't know when's the game, when we travel.
I think it depends obviously what happens with Perth. If the Wildcats don't go back to Perth, then there's a risk that we're going to miss the second game.
Yeah.
And then I think if that happens, then that's where a schedule change will happen.
Yeah. I mean, let's plan for game 1 in Adelaide. This is the most chances, and we may have to change if something changes. And there is let's say we do play next weekend somewhere.
Is there schedule 4 is coming out on Monday?
No. So the decision of what's going to happen will be on Monday. I don't think that the schedule will come out on Monday.
So what's the decision?
What they're going to do with the schedule. If they're going to just lop off the first week, or if they're going to re-change the schedule.
Yeah, we know that. So we don't know. We just know chances.
Yeah.
Chances are we're not playing in Perth. Let's plan according to this because I want to be practical. It's going to get tough, even if everything is okay, and it's going to get even tougher if we're losing.
Perth were in Brisbane in the pre-season, and because they had been in Brisbane, that meant that they then couldn't go back to Perth, which meant that our season had to change. So it just, all the time, it was just changing and it was going, and you just had to be on your toes.
Made through, I'm still alive. Only way to look at it, right?
So we practice at 7.
Have your room?
Yeah.
What floor?
9.
Alright. Eat first, go get some rest. See you in practice. Ready to go. Not knowing when the season gonna start, Lamar and his agent reached out and said they wanted to go finish the season, the Puerto Rican season, but there was a risk that if his team goes all the way to the finals and our season starts in January, that we will get him very late. I designed everything according to that guy and he decided to show up 11 days before the game. Yeah. At least you got 17 games.
Yeah.
At least.
Lamar Patterson has played his last 3 or 4 seasons in the Australian NBL, previous NBA experience, very high level basketball player.
Hey, what's good, man? There you go. Good to see you.
Okay, good evening. So that's us. This is everybody for the first few weeks. The day has come finally. Not everything is planned, which is, by the way, in some places, this is the reality. You know, when practice is tomorrow, and we don't know what's happening in 2 weeks because of TV, schedule, etc. So let's not make such a big deal out of it. Let's go, let's have a good practice. Let me take you back to the process, to the question about the off-season. It's been a very long, extended off-season, and we managed to sign Lamar. And Lamar traditionally had conditioning issues. And in the business, I've seen a lot of players start at some point, and they need to get to one point. It happens in a few weeks. This is what we have pre-season. But seeing him at the beginning was troubling. Okay, he was out of shape. People need some time to get in shape. We knew how much we waited for him and how much we need him. Everything was surrounding him, so I said, I'm fucked.
You don't take 2 games and then put a first team or NBL on the bench, you know? You don't do that.
Honestly, I felt embarrassed. A 2-time NBL All-Star doesn't come in weighing 120 kilos.
Patterson needs to fire up, step back 3, it's an air ball.
The surgeon was real conservative, telling me I'm going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
A few of us were pretty sick. I definitely wasn't feeling good whatsoever.
And they're all going to go get COVID tests as well.
We need to get our shit together.